name's Nicole. I'm a resident at Maple Vista. I just have a couple questions. Being a proud member of Bel Air, I have the rumor mill come up to me quite often. One of my questions is, you had mentioned the programming books. What happens to all the park and rec programs that we house at Bel Air? Do you have a plan where that would be reinstated at another pool?
Well,
Or
that,
are
that
they
would be
just
that would be part of the discussions. That's why we're saying there's so many. Once we make a decision, yes or no, there's so many other things that have to be addressed, and we're trying not to put the cart too far ahead of the horse. But of course, we have to ask some of those questions ahead of time, which is why we got this whole year of the pool being open before we even made our decision, and or would have the pool closed, because that would give us all the way till next summer to have some things worked out.
Because it seems like once those programs are gone, it goes and it backs Mrs. Estemare's statement that you're not really supporting the youth and the sports. Half of your programs in the summer involve the pool somehow. You have Learn to Swim, you have the camps coming over, you have MRDE.
Oh, we do, and we even do our own camps, and also, there's also the pool at the Gateway that we could
Yes.
maybe work some programming with them, and that's only if we would
There-
like to use the neighborhood pools.
There is
as
a
much
pool
as
at
possible.
Gateway, but that summer is their time to do maintenance. So
Yeah.
having it be available is a big risk,
There's
You
a
also
lot.
have- We're forgetting about Boyce Park as well.
which was recently just
Let me ask you, we
closed.
thought we were
No,
doing-
it's open now.
we
It's
thought we were
open
doing
now, but-
revised
They had a
meters.
leak.
Yeah,
So what would you say if we turned them down and they came in and used their eminent domain power and gave us 400,000?
well,
They
What-
can't hear you.
my question, one of the rumors is, and this is something that maybe one of you have more insight is, that Plum has yet to be paid. That the Turnpike still has yet to give Plum any money for their
I don't
property.
think any of us have any knowledge of
And
that.
so if that's the case, unless they were taking eminent domain, rumor coming through, the line is that Plum has yet to be paid.
I just think there's a lot of residents that would say, why didn't you take the deal while it was on the table? We're not giving up on pools and making community pools. That's not it at all.
Or a plan to address the issues.
Right,
I
we're
mean,
just trying to get
Yes.
The first,
the
really
best,
the
the
first
best
step.
deal that's in front of us for the residents of Monroeville, and you may or may not think that, but that's true.
I mean, certainly we have to think, like, if someone came and offered me twice what my house is worth, do I take it or do I not? What's the best for me? We're trying to think of what is the best for everybody. And then if you make that decision, what do we now do to try to give back some of that? Because we all live here.
Right.
We're all part of this community. We want the same as you want.
And last year at this time, we as a pool were told that the pool was safe and that the parking lot would just have to be reconfigured. So at what point did it cross over?
Who said that?
I
Yeah,
never
where
heard
did that
At
come
our
from?
registration meeting
With
we
who?
had
Well, who told you that?
at Bel Air.
With who?
They told us,
Who's they?
The recreation staff?
Parks and Rec?
Well, I don't, that's why I'm asking her who told, because I don't remember a
Park and Rec
discussion up
staff
here at all.
Told you that?
it was at the registration meeting for Bel Air, and it was just that, it was when they were building the trail, and that it was just going to reconfigure our parking lot, and that our
That
pool
may
was
have had
safe.
to do with the
That
trail
was just
only
the
at that
trail.
time.
Yeah, this was something that, is this on? This was something that we had heard as a team, that if they were going to take land from Bel Air to widen the turnpike, it would have involved taking they're going to have to take some of the cliff away to widen it, and that would have, there's a parking lot is what faces the turnpike,
Yes.
and that's would be what would be taken, and if the entrance would move to the other
So
side.
correct me if
the pool could
I'm
remain
wrong.
open.
Who told
What you
you?
just said, hold on a second, this was last year.
I don't actually remember
So you
the
said
I would like
date
to
of
know
this.
that.
I
Who
mean,
was
it's
running the registration meeting?
Yeah.
last year.
Me.
Last year. Who
This
told
is,
you?
this is what I heard.
From who?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
Here we
but I
go.
mean,
Here
here,
we
this
go.
is how rumors get started.
last
Well, that's
year,
why
the
I
time
wanted
frame.
to ask the questions, because
It-
especially being a Bel Air member, everybody brings you conflicting
Understood.
information, so that.
Right.
Just asking a
But we're
question.
just
Ma'am,
asking
that's
you-
fine.
No, we're trying to
That's-
find out where
that's why
the
I-
information's coming from, because we don't want you to get wrong information either.
Because it was
Right.
registration for last year's pool season. That was before we knew about it.
Yeah,
But
I-
people
Yeah.
were approached by the
I've been
turnpike.
telling been telling the Barracudas team, almost at every registration for the last decade, that the pool isn't being sold because they never made an offer to sell. Other members of the community continually say, your pool's closing, your pool's closing. This is what we hear. So at these registration meetings, at the time, Sean Logan, I think, was still involved with the Turnpike, so I would email him and ask, are they finally taking the pool? Are they not taking the pool?
That's going back a few years ago.
Yeah. And,
Yes.
And so, his answer was always, they have no interest in the pool at this time.
Well,
And that's what I
obviously, they
would-
did not at that
Right.
time, because we didn't hear about
And
it.
that's what I would
thought
reflect to
everybody-
the
The layout
members of
for
Bel
it.
Air at that
I mean,
registration meeting.
Yeah,
To that point, and again, thank you for being proactive and explaining things to people. You have a concern with folks, understand. Unfortunately, and before we've heard anything about it, and before we
Right,
came to
that's
approach
what-
to it
Yeah.
as well. Again, and then the Turnpike began the formal process to discuss it. Okay, and essentially, to boil the problem down, it was this or this.
So my only question, I guess, because of
Terms
this
of costs.
decision is, has a eminent domain attempt ever been challenged and won?
It's not, oh, I don't know.
That's a legal question, kind of outside of the scope of our
Yeah,
conversation
it is.
for here. That's
Well,
for
if you're going to
here.
decide 900 or 450 or maybe nothing, or if the chances are possible that you could fight and win and keep the land, that's a
you wanna
different
fight the
decision to
Turnpike?
make
Is that what
than
you're
just
saying?
money.
you want to legally fight the Turnpike?
I don't know. I'm asking if
Yeah,
anyone's
that's-
ever
I mean-
challenged an eminent domain and won.
Well, I'm sure.
So it's not just take the good money or the less money. There's also take the good money, take the less money, or challenge and win or lose.
And take no money.
Roll the
I'm
dice.
just
But
trying
see,
to figure out all the
we're
options.
doing the same thing. We've been doing the same thing. Roll out all the options and see what we think is
Right,
the best.
so-
As Mr. John said before, too, as the process comes up on the agenda this evening, obviously there's a number of questions we've been asked, okay, for the community. Moving forward with a rollout plan, okay, we need to do a better job with that, too, of what would occur in the event of the property not being available. And as the other young lady that was just back up here before, the coach from. Thank you, ma'am.
Yep,
To-
there she
you know,
is.
it sounds like there's even those individuals that plan for that say, there's a very real possibility the facility may not be available, okay, to do that. And we'll try to do that. So, okay, we'll accept that responsibility. Maybe we haven't done the best job about thinking of those things down here. We still are faced with those very high-level, strategic decisions of what are we going to do about this now? Because, as I said before, look on the Turnpike. And at the fire company that belonged to it, at number 4, we already realize we've been the Turnpike residents for, neighbors since its inception. We're losing the side where we all park, where we come into. It's going to come right up next to the building. We don't have a choice,
Yeah.
we don't have
I
a choice.
think the reason that this is happening is because everyone was under the assumption that eminent domain was a done deal, and it was a bad decision not to take the 900,000.
Again, confusion, to do that too. But I think hopefully this has helped clear that up. But
Right.
again, we've discussed there's some other questions we don't have the answers to.
Yeah, so I think that's all they're asking for, is
Sure.
what actually are
Fair
the
enough.
options?
Absolutely,
Is
fair enough.
fighting eminent domain an option? Is taking the
I
900,000
don't,
an
I
option?
don't believe that is.
I don't
At
think
this
so.
point, eminent domain is not an option.
Well, I don't believe fighting
No,
eminent
fighting,
domain is an
you
option
say about
either.
fighting eminent domain.
The cost would be
If you would choose to not
astronomical.
take the
Well,
900,000,
it's-
and then they said, that's all right, we're going to take it, do you have a challenge, or is that, there's no challenging an eminent domain?
In most cases, the only challenge is the value of the property.
Okay,
Eminent domain and it's a very intrusive power that's given to government to take private property, or in this case municipal property, but private property as well. And when a municipal body, a public body that has the power of eminent domain, whenever they exercise that power, usually the only fight that is there is about
money.
money. It's about what the value ultimately is. And matter of fact, the process is bifurcated into 2 pieces. The first piece is their ability to take it.
Okay.
They simply file a paper in the courthouse, and it's taken, it's exercised.
Okay.
From there, then the only argument, and the long arguments over eminent domain really, are over valuation. You say your property's worth this much, they say it's worth this much.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.